Hey, good morning. Welcome to Hobby Evolution, episode 1420. Happy Monday. It's getaway. Actually, it's not getaway day. Tomorrow is getaway day, but today's like getaway Hobby Evolution episode. So today's the last Hobby Evolution until next Thursday. I'm trying to think. I fly back late Wednesday night. So yeah, and Thursday's probably going to be a week from Thursday. Next Thursday, probably going to be like an 8:30, 9 a.m. type of time, because I think my flight gets in late Wednesday night. So I can't remember what time. I can't even remember what time my flight takes off. I think I can check in, my flight leaves, takes off around this time tomorrow. So I think I can check in. I think it's 7:45 if I'm not mistaken. Let me see. Probably get the email. Have I got the email? But it's around this time, so I can check in. I already have my seat, so I don't have to worry about first check-in. That's what I like about upgrading for my seat. You don't have to fight for your seat location. So heading off to spring training tomorrow, so no Hobby Evolution for the next 8 days, 9 days. I will go live at least once from spring training, possibly Thursday, maybe Wednesday, we'll see, maybe Thursday, we'll see. So at least once, and maybe only once. It just depends. I think last year I only went live one time, because it's a whirlwind, and it's all baseball. It's like, well, do you go do this and go to no? I barely leave Mesa. I know. Well, I don't leave. I will be leaving Mesa this year. I'll be going to Scottsdale on Sunday for my fantasy baseball draft. So I'm looking forward to it. So tomorrow I'll get in to Phoenix at about 9 a.m. local time. I'll go to rented my car from Turo, which is right there at the airport. And so I'll pick the car up, and I'll drive straight to, so it's a little different this year because I've got to drive straight to the hotel because there's a home game at Sloan Park tomorrow. So normally, if there's not a home game, when I land, I go straight to the backfields and I can park in that parking lot. But on home games, you can't park there. So I will go straight to the hotel, and I'll drop off my luggage at the bellhop or wherever, have them store my luggage till I can check in. And hopefully they get me a parking pass. I'm sure since it is the same day, I'm sure and I'm a Marriott Rewards member. Hopefully they'll say, yes, you absolutely can have your parking pass. And then get that in, and then head over to the backfields, and hopefully get to spend at least 90 minutes over on the backfields. Hopefully get some autographs, and then head over to the tailgate tent. I'll have my Cubs cards for kids, drop that off, and have a few beers, go into the game. Padres Cubs tomorrow afternoon. It's gonna be chilly, so I'll probably wear something like this. I think it's gonna be, actually, when I looked last night, I think it might hit 70. We're gonna have all seasons, it seems. Well, with the exception of winter. So 69, a nice temperature tomorrow. Tomorrow's high in Mesa, 69. It's going to be 75 on Wednesday, 65 with a chance of rain on Thursday. Friday, and we had a day like this last year, just miserable. I had to go buy a hoodie. I'm packing a hoodie because I looked ahead at the temps. 58 degrees is the high on Friday in Arizona, in Phoenix. So that's freaking cold. I don't go out there for 58 degrees. But it's going to be 80 on Monday. Monday is going to be the nicest day. And I don't think there's a game on Monday. I don't think there's a game. So that sucks. So there's no game on Wednesday. So Wednesday's probably going to be my afternoon card shop run. And Wednesday night we'll do some rips. Maybe I'll go live from the hotel doing the hotel rips. We'll see. I hate going live and opening packs and I just don't like that. And I think it comes across as well. So spring training, here we go. I wanted to talk about risk management in sports cards. And Max, I saw Max in the comments there's multiple inspirations behind today's topic of risk management in sports cards. And it leans towards card show promoting because I hear it all the time. You need a bigger space. You need a different venue. You need to get those vendors out of here because they bring the same stuff. While I don't disagree completely with some of those takes, I do disagree with some of those takes as well. So I want to touch on that. And it's basically just my opinion, how and I'll just share why. This is why you see some of the same old vendors. And it's like you bring up the national, that's easy. It's tenure based. So we're going to go into that. And, one thing is some of these flashy showcases, these hustlers that come in and bring flashy new cards month after month. A lot of times I don't see them after 6 months. Where did they go? But John Smith with the same old stuff month after month, he's going to be there. He was setting up 10 years ago when nobody else was. And he'll be setting up in 10 years when a lot of these fly-by-night dealers with the flashy kabooms are out of the game. So I just want to talk about that. And there was another one about, there was complaints about Oak Creek. They need a new venue. It's like, it is what it is. So we're going to talk about risk management. Yes, I am talking about that post. And while I agree to an extent, I also disagree. And I think, Max, you and I are on the same page. I saw a couple of your comments, and I think we're on the same page. There are reasons for that. There are reasons why we don't change venues, and it's all about risk management and dealing cards as well. And I've kind of wanted to touch on it in a way of, why aren't the Cubs spending $700 million? They're never going to get a big contract, a big name. They're never going to spend the money. They're cheap. Well, they're not cheap. They spend money. Do they spend all of their money? No, because of risk management. You want to drop $700 million. What happens? And look at the numbers. Look at who is the player. There's a player, Juan Soto and somebody else. And it's like, whoa. Oh, it's Brian Giles. Juan Soto and Brian Giles, over the course of Juan Soto's career, there was a point in where Brian Giles has like the exact same numbers. Brian effing Giles. Same numbers over the same span as Juan Soto. And you want to would you throw 700 million plus at Brian Giles? So that's kind of like in cards. You got $4,000 to spend you may have $4,000 in your card account. Are you going to go spend that on a box of National Treasures or a case of Bowman? Probably not. It's all about risk management. Now, if you want to, that's great. And I love spending other people's money. Should I buy this? Absolutely. If somebody asks me if they should buy something, absolutely. Yes, you should. It's your money. If you're even asking the question, there's a part of you that does want it. So I'll be that little devil on your shoulder. Yeah, spend that money. Rip that box. Open those packs. You got an unopened 86 Fleer basketball box? Open it. Let's see those Jordans. I'll be that little devil spending your money. But I'm not going to spend my money that way. So I want to talk a little bit about risk management when it comes to, basically on the buy side, buying, when it comes to buying the inventory, promoting card shows. And it's more along the lines of, because I saw a couple Facebook comments this weekend, various comments, a couple different takes. and touch on those. And Max was involved in one of those conversations, so I know that that he was he was commenting on that. What else is going on? So I did some. Hey, did you watch the Oscars last night? I'm not a big Oscar. The Oscars is like watching the Oscars is like watching an NBA game. You want to tune in for the starting lineups if it's the 1990 Chicago Bulls. And now you want to listen to shooting guard from North Carolina. You want to watch those starting lineups, flashing lights, and then it's like, okay, well, now we'll tune in the last 2 minutes of the fourth quarter. That's how the Oscars are. You want to watch Conan O'Brien's monologue. Who's he going to roast? Adam Sandler. And then they do like right off the bat, they do something that, okay, oh yeah, we're at the Oscars. And then all of a sudden it goes into just all this random stuff that you have no idea. The halftime show is the in memoriam. That's always nice. And it's like, oh, you fall asleep for a while. And then you wake up, it's 10:15. They're running late. And you finally get to Best Picture. I don't even know who won Best. I was in bed long before the Best Picture was announced. I don't think I watched any of the movies that were up for any of the awards. I've heard of a couple, but this year is one of those years where it's just like, don't know it. Why is that? And maybe I'm the only one, and I know I'm not the only one. There's others out there, but it seems to me 20, 30 years ago, 40 years ago, well, maybe not 40 because I was 2, 30 years ago, 20 years ago, between 20 and 30 years ago, I knew like all of the movies and I'd watched most of them that were up for Oscars. And it's like, I'll go through, let's just pick out a year. Let's go to the year 2000. Let's go the year 2000 and 2000 Oscars. All right. Now I want to do 2020. So that's perfect. 25 years ago, 2025 Oscar Best Picture. There we go. Nominees. Okay. 2000 Oscars, the 72nd Academy Awards. Okay. American Beauty, which I remember renting that on VHS from my local IGA. Won Best Picture. The Matrix, Cider House Rules. I don't think I ever watched Cider House Rules. And Topsy Turvy. Okay, didn't watch Topsy Turvy. British musical period drama film, and that's why I haven't watched it and never will watch it. Who was in that? Starring Jim Broadbent and Alan Cordner. Never heard of it. All About My Mother. Okay, this was, looks like this, Penelope Cruz was in it, but it looks like that might have been a Spanish film. Boys Don't Cry. I think I watched that when it first came out. Girl Interrupted, saw that. King Gimp. I don't remember that. My Mother Dreams, The Satan's Disciples in New York. Never heard of it. The Old Man and the Sea. One Day in September. The Red Violin. Sleepy Hollow. True to its name. I was a senior in high school when this came out, and but a group of friends went to watch it, and I did fall asleep during Sleepy Hollow, not just a name. And Tarzan with one. So it seems like about half of those movies I watched, and a couple of them I heard of. Best Picture nominees. Can I find it fast? Actor in a leading role. I want to select a category. Best Picture. Here we go. Anora was the winner. Never even heard of it. Nominees: The Brutalist. Never heard of it. A Complete Unknown. Never heard of it. Conclave. Never heard of it. Dune Part 2. Heard of it. Haven't watched it. Amelia Perez. Never heard of it. I'm Still Here. Never heard of it. Nickel Boys. Never heard of it. The Substance. I think I've heard of it. Wicked. Of course, I've heard of Wicked. So Oscars is just... I never heard of who won Conclave. Was that the winner? No, Anora. Anora won the Best Picture for an Oscar. No idea what it's about. Never heard of it. But that's what the Oscars is like, watching an NBA game. And it's like, well, you tune in to the starting lineups, the Chicago Bulls starting lineups. That's Conan O'Brien's monologue. Maybe there's a halftime show. That's where you want to watch all the people that died last year. And then you tune in the last 2 minutes. You get like the leading actor and actress, and then your best picture, and then it's over. And you go to sleep. So we did watch it, and I tuned in, to the beginning because that's the best part. And then it just drags on. So I also I found and actually I was on a podcast with Greeny Sports Cards a couple of weeks ago, and Greeny's co-host Jeremy works in like event promotion and does cards. So on he had his screen share on, and he had a website in one of the tabs that piqued my interest because I'll tell you why. It was called Floor Plan Creator, and here's why it piqued my interest, because that's my floor plan creator for the Madison Card Show. Now I do make copies. I fill one out and I make copies, so I don't have to draw them every month, but it took a couple months for me to figure that out. But I'm like, man, I wish there was. So Floor Plan Creator, see if I can find it. Actually, I think I can, if I can go to my email. So I've got a blank copy. So I've got some things in the works, maybe, for future shows. So I wanted to have something, floor plan. So this is really cool. So I made this, I was watching the Badger game yesterday. And so I went to Floor Plan Creator, and isn't that cool? So you can make your own floor plans, and with your house, with a card show, with an event. So it's not perfect just because of the room, but it's basically, this is the upstairs Capitol Square Ballroom. So and this is kind of gives you an idea of the layout. Now the two tables on that wall, the bottom wall, those are not on that wall per se. Because there's little bump outs here where the doors are. But, I think this is a good, it helps me in instead of my hand drawn, I can print these out if I can. I might have to subscribe to make it a bigger image. But I haven't tried print. I guess I could print this out. So we'll see. Oh yeah, it's going to print small. What if I do landscape? No. Portrait. Okay, so it's going to print small. Anyway, so I was messing with that, watching the Badger game. Great, what a great game! Badgers and Michigan State until like the last 2 minutes, and Michigan State tore ahead. Wisconsin took a big lead at the beginning. Michigan State rolled back and then took a small lead, and then it was kind of back and forth throughout the game until the last 90 seconds. And the Spartans came out on top. But a great game, a nice little appetizer here at the start of March. We've got conference tournaments starting later this week. Arch Madness, I believe, starts Thursday. So love this time of year. College basketball conference tournaments going into March Madness. We've got spring training, a couple weeks in already. We got big league baseball, Cubs and Dodgers in Japan here in what? About a week and a half, 2 weeks, about 2 weeks away from the Japan series. Let's go to the chat. Oh, hey, before we get to the chat, check out my eBay store. I did add some new inventory last night as I was snoozing during the Oscars. Just a small batch of football, I think. Check it out, 99centcards.com. Buy 7 or more items at regular price. Save 25% off at checkout. My eBay sales were a little better yesterday. Better than Saturday was my worst day of the weekend. Friday, going in, I thought, man, Friday sucks. Hopefully Saturday, Sunday are better. Not the case. Sunday sales were about the same as Friday. Sunday and Friday were about the same. Saturday was bad sales day. And the next 8, 9 days, 10 days, also going to be terrible. I've had so many more items not received claims come up. I think I've had just in the overnight, I've had 3 more item not received cases opened. One of them was for like 8 cards. Those are a pain in the ass because when you do the claim, you have to do each of the cards that are claimed. You can't just do one transaction. And I'm not going to have time today to fill those out because I've got to get prepared. I got to break down since the weather's going to be cold. For me, I'll probably will end up wearing shorts most of the trip. Friday, 58 and rain. I'll probably revert to jeans, but I'm down to like 1 pair of blue jeans. So I'm just going to rip that Band-Aid off and go jeans shopping today. So I won't have time to answer all of these fucking claims. I think right now, let's see. Let's see how many claims in 20. I bet I've had more item not received claims in the first 2 months of 2025 than I did the entire year in 2024. That's how many item not received claims I've had. I'm up to 8 that I still need to 8 just in the last like 2 days. Let's see. Let's go into items not received. Let's go into let's go all requests and disputes. Shit, I can't do the first. Let's last 90 days. But then I'll just okay. So 73 item not received claims in the last 90 days. That is fucking absurd. Fucking absurd. Oh my God. Last 30 days. 30. My average is like 6 or 7 a month. And I'm at 30. So hopefully you're not having the same issues. I know a lot of people are. That's crazy. Now, I'm also doing a lot of volume. So, but 30 is about 4 times the average that I normally see. So that's great. Now, I should say that 30 number is not orders. That's not transactions. That's cards in an order. Where's my here? Let's see. So 30, that's when I do the freaking insurance claims. I got to do 30 at a time. I got to do 30 in the last 30. So, okay. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Okay. Still way over the norm. Okay, that's the same transaction. 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. Okay, so still, so it's not 4x, it's 3x, 3 times the norm. 24 items not received claims in the last 30 days on orders, 30 total cards. All right, let's go to the chat now. David, good morning. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Can't wait. Can't wait. Matty Ice in the house. Good morning. Gem City Card Show is here. What's happening? Scott is here. Good morning. West Coast. Early. And by the way, speaking of West Coast, what's up? Happy Monday, Peter. Speaking of West Coast, I'll be on West Coast time at some point. Frickin' daylight savings does occur while I'm in Arizona. So here's what happens. Phoenix currently is 1 hour behind. When daylight savings occurs, Phoenix will now be 2 hours behind because they don't honor whatever daylight savings. So it'll be 1 hour behind and then 2 hours behind. So then when I look at things like, oh, it's 5 p.m. Central, like, oh, is that 4 p.m. our time, 3 p.m. Phoenix time? I don't know. So this is I think I've been out there a couple times where, and it just screws me up. It just screws me up. All right, red light. What's up? Good morning. You are welcome. Red light 34. took advantage of some bulk discounts in my eBay store. So if you buy 7 or more cards at 99centcards.com, you will save 25% off at checkout. But if you want to buy like 50 cards, like Red Light 34 did, send me offers and you'll save even more than 25%. I'm not going to do that on like 2 or 3 cards, but if you have like a 40 or 50 card order, we'll make some deals. And it also depends on what it is. If it's, stale inventory or junk wax, I'll absolutely take 99-cent dollar offers on those cards. Todd, what's up? Good morning. Safe travels to Arizona. Does Ernie get to go to work with mom all week? No, Ernie gets to go to doggy daycare all week. So, which is, he had one day off this weekend from doggy daycare, and what did he want to do? He wanted to go play with puppies. We did. My Rookie, the neighbor dog, I texted my neighbor and I said, hey, can Rookie play? He's like, I'm not home, but come on over and take him out. So I went over, and Rookie was happy to see us. And so they played. Ernie got some zoomies out in the backyard with Rookie. And then as we were walking back, neighbor that lives down the street has a Shih Tzu, Axel. And and Axel's kind of like a grump, but he's been really, and I don't know, like when Biscuit and Axel got along great. Cause I remember when she was walking, we were walking through the park, and came up and she's like, Axel's, he's not really good with other dogs. And like Biscuit, they sniffed, and she's like, oh, wow. She's like, normally he's not very good with other dogs. And Ernie and Axel got along well. I mean, they tolerated each other. It's not like they were playing, but so he got to see a couple puppies yesterday, and so he gets to go back to doggy daycare today, and he's excited for it. So no, he will not go to work with mom. What kind of stinks is my wife's at a new brokerage, and her old brokerage was dog friendly, but now they're with brokerages called Compass, and it's just starting out here in Madison. So they don't have an office. So they're in like co-working space right now, which is not dog friendly. Which Biscuit, you could take Biscuit anywhere and she's just going to chill. Ernie, not so much. So I don't know how well he would do in an office. Did we have, I think we did have Ernie when she was still at her old brokerage. When did she left in like October. So when did we get Ernie? Like beginning of August. So he was just a little tyke. Herman's in the house. What's up, Herman? Good morning. Good to see you. Philly Joe's here. What's going on? Good morning. Thank you. I will. Cooter's here. Good morning. Just filled up. Now off to Texas. Enjoy the drive. Wave at the Lion. The Lion King. What's Tiger King? Tiger King. Is it Tiger King? Tiger King. How soon we forget. L1C. May I request you go live 12 beers deep? I don't know if I'm going to go live. There's probably going to be a day where I will be 12 beers deep, but I don't know if I'm going to go live at that point. Orlando, what's going on? Good morning. Max says 69 is chilly. Yes, 69 is chilly. Absolutely. How have you survived the entire life in the Midwest? I know, right? And I came north. Although it's not really people. When I moved to Wisconsin, they're like, oh, I don't think you're going to survive winters up here. It's like, I grew up in northern Illinois. I grew up literally two and a half hours south of here. It's not like I'm coming from Hawaii or Florida. Northern Illinois, same climate as southern Wisconsin. In fact, I think most of the years I've been in Madison, my hometown has gotten more snow in the winter than I get in Madison. Now, the difference is this time of year, there are days where I grew up. There's two differences. Where I grew up, there's days in March where it'll be 70 and it's still 50 here. Like spring is colder here. Winter is the same, like the same 20 below, 30 below wind chills hits Anawan as it does Madison. So that's one difference. Spring is colder, where our high might be when it's 70 down there, it's 50 here. And then in the summer, it's much more humid down there, where like I'll go there. It's like, oh, I love this humidity. And we just don't get that humidity here in southern Wisconsin, which is crazy. I get it's 2.5 hours, but that humidity just doesn't hit the same as it does in northern Illinois. Sure, we get humidity and we get some days where it's like maybe a week here, where in northern Illinois we get maybe a month of that sticky, just miserable humidity, which I love. Zach says, on the list of celebrity Cub fans, where do you fall? Bill Murray, Eddie Vedder, then you. Oh no, I'm way down the list. I'm past about the worst Cubs fan is Jim Belushi. I'm below Jim Belushi. He's like Jeff Garland. Jeff Garland, I've come around to. He's always on those frickin' seventh inning stretch. I'd say my least favorite like celebrity Cubs fan is Jim Belushi. It's like, oh God, can we not claim Jim Belushi as a Cubs fan? Dan, what's up? Good morning. Our new school year starts tomorrow. Have a great trip to Arizona. Thank you. Have fun with your new school year. Holmes in the house. Reds win. Cubs season over. Cancel the trip. I know. Did I jinx it? Are the Cubs ever going to lose again? Yep. They lost. First loss of spring training. Cubs are now 8-1-3 in spring. Lost to, was it the Reds? Yesterday. I did not watch the game. Max says, talking the post from yesterday from, yes. So that's what partially inspired today's topic of risk management. Zach says, White Sox are cheap. Cubs are not cheap. Exactly. People, the Cubs need to spend money on Juan Soto, or, they're not spending any money. They're like top 5, 7 in Major League Baseball. And guess what? The product they put on the field has not been performing like a top 5 or top 7 team. When you spend top 5, top 7 money, you should make the playoffs. There's 12 teams that get into Major League Baseball playoffs. And if you're 5th, 7th highest in payroll and you don't even make the top 12, guess what? You're spending money the wrong way. Gem City Card Show. Owners of the Madison Card Show are raising prices on hot dogs and beers next month. Damn it to hell. Max says, I'm the same way too. I think most are, but where I draw the line is the mentality that you can come in because you have new stuff and kick people that have been setting up every year for 30 years is wild to me, and me too. And here's the point. There's a lot of complaints on the National. Oh, it's the same old museum. Well, yes, it is annoying. Walk past it. Because guess what? 10, 15 years ago, how many of the complainers were going to the National 10 or 15 years ago? I bet not many of those flashy showcase dealers were going to the National or into cards 10, 15 years ago. Guess who was? Old Smokey Joe with the museum. And in 10 years, God willing, if Smokey Joe with the museum showcase is still alive, he's still going to be setting up at the National. He's still going to be in the card game. Maybe he's not selling much out of his museum showcase. But some of these kaboom and downtown dealers that are ripping and flipping and jumping and jiving, guess what? They're gone. There's going to be a time where money dries up in cards and card shows aren't the way they are right now. There is going to be a time. Now, if I was wrong in 2021, I said, by the time COVID returns, the card market's going to die. Well, not die, but it's going to go back to 2014, 15, 16, and 17, and 18, although it was growing by then. I did not expect card shows to get on a rocket ship, but I think long-term, like 5 years, there's not going to be 150 dealers on a waiting list to a 140-table Madison Card Show. And I've seen so many of the let me in the card show because I've got this showcase and I've got Mahomes, Kabooms, and Downtowns and all this stuff. And I'm spending all this money. Let me into the card show. And they come and they go. And I've seen it time and time again. And sometimes it's just they get bored. Sometimes whatever they were investing in at that time, the money dried up there. Money dries up in every little corner of cards. And you'll see, and I've during the COVID boom, how many people got into dealing cards during COVID? And it's like, well, and then all of a sudden you had COVID prices, and Aaron Rodgers rookie, sells for what, $25-$30 now. And I'm in Wisconsin, so that's why I'm using the Aaron Rodgers rookie. And I remember a showcase with a bunch of Aaron Rodgers rookies where the COVID prices were on the tags. And you overhear the dealer say, well, I got into it at 75. So I'd let it go for 80. And the comp is 40, 50, whatever it might be. And all of a sudden that he's wheeling and dealing at the height of COVID. And then the market takes a turn and he's got those same price tags on, and he doesn't want to play the game. And he doesn't want to lose money. And all of a sudden, guess what happens? When he can't correct and get to market price, he doesn't make any sales. And then people stop walking by his table because they know he's overpriced and he's not going to come down because he's into it for this. And then he's out. I'm out of cards. And I've seen that. And I think we all have. So when I see comments like that, let these guys in with the new showcases and they're going to be wheeling and dealing. Yes, you do need to have some of that. And I'm not preaching, I'm speaking from how I run my show. This is just my opinion. If other promoters are out there listening, watching, whatever, you do it however the hell you want to do it. This is how I do it. And this is and this is why. Because I've got dealers that have been with me since the very early where we had a previous card show in Madison that was below average. And there was a stigma on Madison card shows because it was the same old 10, 12 dealers in the cramped little small conference room at the Clarion. And it just, dealers I talked to, there was a stigma attached. Oh, I'm not doing Madison. That's a shitty show. Well, this is a different show. And it took a solid year and a half to finally overcome that stigma of the other show. And I had dealers that were with me at the beginning. And I still have dealers that were at the very first show where there was 17 dealers or 17 tables. I think there was 12 dealers. And at least 2 of them, Ray is still with me. James is still with me. And Ray has really good stuff. James has really good stuff. And then there's some other dealers that came on within the next couple months. And some of those dealers may not have the greatest stuff. But they were there with me when a lot of the wheelers and dealers and kaboomies and downtownies, that's stealing that from Mike Petty, they were in there. Oh, I'm not doing that show. There's only 17 tables. I'm not doing that show. I'm too good for that show. But I had people that were with me from the beginning. And that goes a long way. Because if they were with me during those times at the beginning as I built the show up, they're going to be with me when the market takes a turn. And the market will take a turn at some point. I'm not going to predict when, because I've already been wrong once. But the market will turn where it's not going to be as easy to fill these tables at card shows. So there has to be give and take. If I wanted to kick out all of my long-term, here's what happens. And here's the risk management. Okay. And I understand why there's optics as well. On the other side, you don't want to have a room full of museum showcases with guys not willing to move, because then all of a sudden people aren't going to come to your show. And it does make the show look a certain way. But you can't kick those guys out either. And this is where the risk management comes in. You kick all your long-time tenured dealers for all the new COVID kids, the shiny showcases, the flashy cards, the wheeling and dealing. That's great to have. And I need that. I need both. I want both. And I need both. Because if you kick all your old guys out that don't update their prices and you bring all the new blood in, what happens when the market turns? I know that the guys that have been doing it since 2021 and who have been setting up at shows long before that, I know they're still going to stick with me when the market takes a turn. But those kaboomies and downtownies and those investor flippers, are they? And some probably will. Most probably won't. So that's how that's how I take things. And how I work this is kind of off on another tangent, but I don't have a 1 through 150 dealer waiting list. There's no numbers. It's not, well, you're number 67 on the waiting list. Oh, you moved up this month. First off, I'm not going to take the time to update those numbers. And who knows? Dealer number 77 may have quit cards 6 months ago. I'm not going to go through, reach out to 150 dealers on a monthly basis. Hey, are you still dealing cards? Are you still interested in setting up at future shows? I don't have any spots for you now. We're not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. How I treat my waiting list is the more you reach out to me, as annoying is I hate responding to emails and taking phone calls and text messages. The more you reach out, guess what? The squeaky wheel gets the grease. Because I know if you're reaching out to me on a consistent basis, you want to set up at my show. I had somebody reach out to me, said, hey, any spots yet for me? I'm like, I didn't even know you were still interested. I looked at our last message was from July. He reached out to set up at the July 2024. I had to look to see what year last year was. Last year, July. We're 9 months later, and he reaches out. Hey, have I moved up? No, I didn't even know you were still interested. Any problem? And he goes, well, I guess I'll wait till next year. And guess what? I'm going to forget again. That's a good way to never get into the show. But if you reach out, and especially if you're going to, and I've had 2 dealers, and I think Max gave them this tip. If you bring your shit on Saturday morning and there's an open table, guess what? You get it. And if you do that, and it's kind of like if you do it twice in a row now, this isn't gospel because I ended up not, for one of these guys, I ended up not having a table for them last month, but I am going to get them in this month. Where if you do that 2 months in a row, yeah, I'll give you a spot next month because I know that you're going above and beyond, and I'm going to get you in, or at least try. I don't want to guarantee anything. I ran into that. Well, I've never guaranteed anything, but whenever I speak on that, I need to make sure this is not guaranteed. Because I had 2 issues. I had one where I didn't have a spot. Well, you told me that if I set up 2 months, if I came with my stuff 2 months in a row, I'm like, yeah, I did say that. But now I want to say that's not always going to be the case. There's no guarantees. I can't guarantee spots. I can't guarantee where you're going to be unless you've been doing it for consistently every month, month after month. But if you miss a month or 2, if you miss a month, yeah, I'll let it slide. But if you miss 2 months, I'm not guaranteeing a spot. I'm not guaranteeing your spot. So that's just off on a different tangent. Okay. Juan Soto is overrated, says Peter. Back to the chat. Max says, my favorite comment is the one that came from someone that works in a tenure-based industry, if you catch my drift. Yeah. I don't know. I'll have to go back. I don't know what comment you're talking about, but But yeah, like it's just if you cater, you're going to lose your core audience, your core business. And especially if you've built up your show over time. If you want to start a show and you only want to pick and choose the flashy dealers, absolutely. Go ahead. You absolutely can do that. Shit, you can run your show however you want. But what happens if you've run an established show and Madison's not established. Like, I mean, it is established, but it's only been around for coming on 4 years. Next month will be the 4th anniversary. And that's a young show. If you're doing any type of long-term show and you start kicking guys to the curb for new blood, you might fuck yourself because that's your like core, like that's your bread and butter. That's your bread and butter. They're going to stick with you. If they stuck with you in 2015, 2012, and now all of a sudden, because there's so much demand, well, I'm sorry, you don't change your prices. And it's so subjective. How do you even quantify who to boot? Does a promoter have to go around and ask for sales totals? Okay, well, you didn't sell $300, $500, $1,000. What's that mark? Or is it because your buddy, dealers, your buddy wants in and that guy has shitty inventory. You need to kick him out so my buddy can take his spot. I've seen that. Max says, has Hollywood just gotten bigger, more movies? I don't think Hollywood has gotten bigger. I think it's probably the way we consume film. Where in 25 years ago, where did you watch movies? The theater. Where do you watch movies today? Well, the theater, but usually Netflix, Amazon, Hulu, Peacock, wherever. There's just so many different platforms where we get our movies. It's not just the movie theater. It's like, oh, what are the new movies out? And now it's like, shit, you got a little Netflix and blah, 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 blah. Tracy's in the house. Good morning. Thank you. Zach says, Max, I'm not Hobby Evolution Facebook. Is the sentiment that you and Bo agree that if you've been setting up for 30 years, that 10 years should or should not trump a new seller? I won't speak for Max, but my sentiment is tenure trumps new sellers. And this was not in Hobby Evolution Facebook. This was just a random post on Facebook from a mutual friend of ours. Low Roller Scratcher says Bitcoin and crypto make a huge comeback yesterday since Trump makes announcement of cryptocurrency reserves. If you would have invested $1,000 on Friday morning during Hobby Evolution when we were shitting on Bitcoin and you sold it on Sunday, you would have made $200 in profit. Now, whether you want to pay taxes on that or not is up to you. Johnny M says, good morning. I'd rather get a root canal than watch that bullshit. Root canals aren't that bad. Now, the after effects, I was in some pain for a couple days, but root canal's not that bad. I used to say that all the time. Like, I'd rather get a root canal. I'd never had a root canal. I'd rather get a root canal than a dental cleaning because I'm freaking in that chair for an hour and a half. I told my wife, and my wife's the same. She's like, why does it take so long? And I'm like, I don't know. It shouldn't take that long to clean your teeth. It takes me like 2 minutes to brush my teeth in the morning. And that's a lot. Like 2 minutes, that's a long time. 45 seconds? Maybe that's why it takes so long to clean my teeth, because I'm only spending 45 seconds brushing them every day, twice a day. Max says, should for sure, yes. Not on Hobby Evolution, though. Zach says, okay, I thought that was the origin for the post. Is that philosophy rewarding tenure and not performance or customer demand? Well, there's balance. There's balance. So, and this is just my stance as promoter of the Madison Card Show. I am going to reward tenure. But if that tenure is not going to set up on a monthly basis, their tenure is kind of out the door. If you were set up in 2021 and you set up consistently month after month after month, absolutely, I'm going to reward that tenure. Now, if I've got spots that open up and I've got dealers that may have been in and out over the last 4 years, but they're not flexible on prices, or they don't have the inventory that's needed in that particular spot, tenure absolutely goes out the window, and it's going to be to somebody that's got good stuff that I know. You need to have both. As a promoter, I need to have both. I need to have dealers that are going to sell the kabooms in downtowns and the liquid inventory. I absolutely need that. And I'm not using my stance as, oh, it's tenure. No, I need both. From a risk management standpoint, I can't kick out dealers that may have crappier inventory or they don't sell as much as the next guy. If they've been with me through the hard times, I know that when the hard times come again, they're going to be with me. And some of the fly-by-night dealers that may have the great showcase month after month, are they going to stick with me? So it's all this balancing act. And that's how I see things for my show. I'm not saying that's the way it should be or the way it is, but it's the way I run my show. So I want to reward all of the above. I want to reward tenure. I want to reward performance and customer demand. I'm not picking and choosing one over the other. But I need to have a balance, because I've got to think of this. I'm not running the Madison Card Show as just taking advantage of the market today. And when the market takes a turn, fuck it, I'm going to move on to sneakers or Bitcoin. I'm in it for the long haul. And I've got to see through the forest, or whatever that term is. I've got to see through the forest and look at the long term, where I've got to have a core dealer network that is going to thrive. And I looked back, and I was, I think Max said there was like 4 or 5 guys that were dealing before COVID. I counted, I think, at least 13 dealers just in the upstairs ballroom that were dealing pre-COVID. The ones for a fact, I know Troy that does the wax. He was doing the Clarion show. Jim. I'm pretty sure Jim was doing the Clarion. Jim was doing like the Chicago Sun-Times show back in the early 90s. Gary George, been doing it for a long time. Tony, been doing it for a long time. Big Mark, doing it for a long time. That's 5. Tom from Real Breaks, doing it before COVID. Tom in the corner, doing it for a long time. The Lambricks, doing it for a long time. That's 8. I'm trying to go through, and I'm just thinking of regulars. Ray, Ray was at my very first show set up. Of course, that was after COVID, but Ray was doing shows before COVID. So that's 9. Gruber, been doing it for a long time. That's 10. Bonsai. Jesse was doing the Clarion show. He's set up with Bonsai a lot. Craig, been doing it for a long time. That's 11. Who else? East Coast Tom. That's 11. Eric, that's 12. So that's 12 that have been doing it, doing shows before COVID. Orlando says, no Oscars for me. I was on a 4 Collectors live stream instead last night. Oh, very nice. I may have to tune into that today. Sal Dougie, what's going on? Good morning. Unicorn Cupcake says, great stream last night. Collector's Dream, Orlando. Mr. Archer, good morning. Zach says, hi to Abraham. Cooter's in the house. He says, loved the Noble card, Orlando. Tiger 727, what's happening? Zach says hello to Greg. Low Roller says Hulk Hogan still bigger heel than John Cena since no social media in the 1990s. I agree with that. I agree. And I was actually thinking about this yesterday regarding John Cena's heel turn at the pay-per-view, whatever it was, Saturday. Did it not hit? Like, it's not shocking. And I don't think is this an age? Like in 1996, when Hulk Hogan turned heel, you know, I was freshman, sophomore in high school. And I didn't know the ins and the outs, and kayfabe was still somewhat protected in, you know, the very beginning of the internet. And it just wasn't thrown at us. And now we see, you know, we didn't see the personalities behind the wrestlers on social media and all of that 25 years ago. So maybe is that why, to me, it's like, yeah, John Cena's a heel. Was it surprising? Yeah, a little bit surprising. Certainly not shocking. Hulk Hogan, at least for 14-year-old me. Now, maybe if I was my age in 1996, when Hulk Hogan turned and joined the NWO, maybe that would have been shock. Maybe it wouldn't have been shocking. I don't know. Orlando says, thanks to Unicorn Cupcake. Christian's in the house. Good morning. Orlando, thanks, Cooter. Robert is here. Good morning. What's the bright yellow thing in the sky in Northeast Ohio? Hey, I've seen that thing here in Wisconsin the last couple of days. It's now cloudy. I think it was sunny when I started the stream. Now it's cloudy. Robert says, volume of items not received is insane right now. So frustrating. I don't know if you were here at the beginning when I counted my, this was from a half an hour ago. So yeah, this was probably during my lookup. Yeah, insane. Johnny says, thanks for the help with the neutral feedback removal. It was removed within an hour. There you go. Absolutely. And again, if you weren't here yesterday, if you have a negative or a neutral feedback that mentions slow shipping, and if you shipped it within your stated term, you can go to the help button on eBay. Just type in feedback removal, and there's like a button that comes up. Click on that. It'll pop up. And you can say, hey, he said it was slow shipping, but it was shipped on time based on my terms and conditions. And usually those get removed pretty quickly. Stuke's in the house. Good morning. Enjoy spring training. Absolutely cannot wait. Low Roller listed a near mint card. However, item description says to look at the picture for true condition. My bad for buying this disgusting card. Low Roller has gone to my feedback. Thank you. That was a recent negative feedback. Zach says, tell people issuing those claims that you will respond once you are back from jeans shopping. Low-key power move, letting them know where their dispute ranks in importance. Absolutely. Victor says, same here on claims. I've gotten 6 in the last 30 days. Yeah. And I'm assuming your average is probably one or two per 30 days. eBay envelopes have been going on a mystery tour. That they have. Bradley says Arizona does not practice daylight savings time. Yeah. And we hit daylight savings occurs while I'm out there. So as the rest of the nation celebrates daylight savings time, we will not change our time. And it confuses the hell out of me. 42 years later, still don't know what time it is. Good morning, Uncle Rich. Cooter says, is it USPS or dishonest buyers who see there's no tracking posted on eBay? Both. I think it's both. I think there are some unscrupulous buyers that are taking advantage of the situation, but I also think the USPS is, and this isn't the first time this happens. There's usually 1 or 2 times a year, every year, where shit just hits the fan with USPS and shit doesn't get delivered on time, which makes me nervous. Although I did send it priority, we'll see. I sent my Cubs cards for kids to to my hotel. Let's see. I want to log into my pirate ship to see if the tracking. I am not a robot, nor am I a pirate. All right, Marriott. Here we go. Let's get the tracking. It's in transit. I want to see the tracking. Expected delivery Tuesday. How about that? Now, it's in Oak Creek right now. Oh my God, it's in the black hole of USPS distribution centers. Rich says, have a very safe trip. Those friendly flying skies are a never-ending story of issues. Yeah, just like the post office. Ernie will be loving life in doggy daycare. He will absolutely love it. He got a report card Saturday. He was at, they call it like Pupper Pre-K or something. And he got a report card where they, what I learned today, learned how to take breaks when I get too overly excited. And I taught Roma because she's just a baby. So he met a new friend, Roma, apparently. Johnny M says, over 1 year using the eBay branded 3-pocket envelopes and never had one not get delivered. You may want to consider trying them. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Is totally not worth it. With the volume I do, not worth it. Victor, good morning. Go Cubs. Yes. And me 3, says Uncle Rich. Those people who have done the National for 20 years were the ones who survived the bad years. 100%. 100%. Rich aligned with Max. I am as well. Knackley Collectibles in the house. Good morning. Michael Renicky is here. Good morning. Uncle Rich says we've been having another Net 54 convo about that. I need to spend more time on Net 54. I go to the blowout forums and it's just not my cup of tea for the most part. There's like 2 threads and sometimes a new thread will pop up where I'm interested in, but I think Net 54 is more my jam. Max says, hell, all but maybe 5 of us at the Madison Card Show were going to shows in this state before COVID. Oh, and so, yeah, I saw your comment. So I counted up 13 just in the upstairs room. Just in the upstairs room. Rich says card shows are rocking because there is a constant 24/7 need for cards to sell on these online platforms. Max says, walk by it. I've been to probably 8 to 10 nationals by now. I think I have spent a total of an hour combined at the tables at the entrance. That's why Chicago is nice. You can dump the whiners into the second entrance. Stuke says the National is going to be so much bigger this year with the additional space that is used for the Chicago Sports Spectacular. Should be a lot of new dealers. Yeah, they opened up, 70 plus what they had last 2 years ago. In addition, they have, 75 additional spots. Rich says, I now have a little 20-table show, and I make it a point to tell people we are not a Pelican Case show, so I let 1 to 2 people like that in, and the rest are collector-friendly dealers. Card Therapy is here. All the home fluids and fire. Lost so many cards, so they're back to replace their cards. Gem City says that's the thing. If you don't want to see it, just keep walking. People enjoy complaining. Absolutely. And it's not really, I think a lot of the complaining about the National Museum cases, while annoying, just walk past it. Now, I have no skin in the game because I have no interest in setting up at the National. Guess who the complainers are? People that want to set up at the National. Well, you should kick him out. He's been doing it for 30 years and has the same stuff. I'll bring new stuff. But were you there in 2012 when times were tough? Will you be there in 2032 when times might be tough? Who knows? Maybe times are even crazier than now. We don't know the future, but we know the past. Stuke says to Uncle Rich, love your show. Rich says, 2 years ago, they opened up a lot more room and tons of new dealers were there. Yeah, 2 years ago. Holy crap. And it's going to be even bigger this year. 80% of the vendor floor has adapted to what's hot in the market. Just ignore what you don't want. There's plenty for everyone. Yeah, there are plenty of spots for the new stuff, the liquid inventory. Gem City Card Show says, I'm going to adopt the Panini method of Dutch auction for tables. Kidding, of course. That's a good idea. Hey, I've got 2 tables open for this month's Madison Card Show. We're going to start the bidding at $1,000. Go from there. Low Roller Scratcher says dollar box bin is recession proof since the price stays the same. Bradley says Moe's and E Card Show was great Saturday, very busy and lots of good finds in the quarter boxes. Good deal, good deal. Charlie's in the house. Always take care of your returning dealers. If you want new dealers to come in greater than your rate of attrition, expand the space. That's a great idea. And here's where I want to get into my second point. Although I'm still 26 minutes behind. I'm going to come back to this. Because this is going to be a great segue into my second point, which was also from a Facebook post I saw this weekend. So I'm going to star Charlie's. Okay, and we can come back to it. Low Roller says Pokemon will fill out your card show. Pokemon saves the day. Most shows have less than 5% of the tables people are bitching about. They are just jealous they can't get tables. Yes. And they go after the stuff they don't want. How about also going after the vendors? 100%. Rich says, when I had my show from 2014 to 2019, Kyle drew more people than I did because he had more modern dealers and I had more collector-based dealers and more of a vintage tinge. Max says that don't have room. I started to consider going back into sports, but that conversation just told me to stay where I'm at. There's probably the same dealer on Bo's waiting list 5 different times. Every once in a while, I'll get random names. I do ask for names, and some might be fake. But I'm sure there are people that have reached out under a different name or a fake name on Facebook, or used a burner phone, or they're probably not a burner phone just for the sake of doing this, but using a friend's phone. Hey, can I get a table at the show? No, I'm sold out. It's nothing personal. And I'm sure there are potential dealers that think I'm not letting them in the show because I don't like them for whatever reason. That's not the case. There's not room. It's not personal. Rich says, but I had a couple of people who did land office business because they had modern stuff and it was counterintuitive to believe. If you can't get any table at the card show, go set up at a flea market. There you go. No waiting list at a flea market. But there were always people who came to see them for modern cards. I learned that from them well after the fact. Max says, if you aren't reaching out monthly at least once, are you really trying to set up? Exactly. If you're going to wait, because I don't, maybe I know other promoters handle wait lists differently. And I know one that goes straight down the line. I don't. So you've got to be persistent. Rich says, if I were running shows as I did at my old location, which is now closed, I'd have 4 to 5 Pokemon dealers. Michael Renicky says, that's funny. There are promoters that hate when you keep asking about the waiting list. I won't name names, but they're in the Midwest. Now, I wouldn't say I get annoyed, but it's like, oh my God, all these messages. But it's a good annoyance. And sometimes it's just the mood I'm in. When I get 7 cases opened up on eBay, it's like, God damn it, I'm in a shitty mood. And now you're asking me about a waiting list. So it's on me. It's me. It's not you, it's me. Uncle Rich says, at the last Dallas mini show I went to on Saturday, there were 2 people waiting for tables with their stuff as one dealer had not yet shown up. Absolutely. Inviting competition in. Oops, save you some headache. Yeah. And the funny thing is, and here's what I've learned. I'm just, and this is a gross, I don't know what the term I'm looking for, blanket statement. When I say, and I tell dealers, especially if they reach out, if they're like, if they really are showing an interest in setting up at the card show, if they're really persistent, I say, bring your stuff on Saturday morning. And if there's an open table, it's yours. Oh, I can't do that. I've got too much stuff. Okay, then you don't want that spot. I've learned after saying that multiple times to multiple various dealers, guess who is willing to bring their stuff and be on call for a potential opening if somebody no-shows on Saturday morning. Guess who those dealers are? They are Pokemon dealers. Guess who scoffs at the idea of bringing their stuff to the show and showing up without the possibility of maybe they may not get a table? Sports dealers. I take that back. I've had one. I've had one person who brought a sports dealer, and maybe there's been more, but off the top of my head, I know that there's been one sports guy that has done that. And there's been multiple Pokemon dealers who are willing to bring their stuff to the show and not haul it in, but leave it in the car, lock the car, and be on call like, hey, and let me know on Saturday morning if you've got your stuff in. Shoot me a text. Hey, I just want to let you know I'm here. I've got my stuff in the car if there's an open spot. Not every month, but most months, I'd say probably once every other month, probably once every 2 months, there's an open table. Last month, there was more dealers that thought they had tables than there were tables. So it went the other way. Rich says that dealer had paid in advance, so they had to be real careful about giving away his space. Michael says, but I agree. If you want to get in, do whatever you need to respectfully to get into shows. Low Roller says, if you charge cancellation fees, if you don't make it into the card show. One of the guys is a teacher, wanted to throw that back into his face, but I was being nice last night. F-bombs. We're dropping F-bombs. It's an F-bomb Monday. Max says, that's a conversation we can have tomorrow. Your show, your rules, right? I think so. Show up in Green Bay at a shop, ask people not to have sealed because he has plenty. Nothing wrong, I don't think. Dealer roasted him and posted DMs saying, why have a show if you aren't letting X in? I think that's also wild. Just don't set up, but I believe that vendor is blacklisted from a bunch of shows. Interesting. Shoot me a DM on who that dealer was, or was it on the thread? Maybe I haven't seen that, or should be. Stuke says, our local club show, we text at 7 p.m. 10 days prior, and the first 50 people get tables or end caps depending on request. So I may have some news regarding the Madison card show. I've just got to do a couple checks. I did get an email. Oh, well, never mind. Okay. No news. Rich says, my last dental cleaning was 30 minutes and very thorough. Mine are at least an hour. If I have to get x-rays, it's an hour and a half. And sometimes my regular cleanings are over an hour. And they put a numbing gel on my teeth to make the process go faster. I should ask, can we make this process? Can you clean my teeth faster? I don't want to lay back in this chair for a fucking hour. F-bomb. Max says most dealers take care of themselves and rotate their inventory enough that you don't have to worry. Cooter says tenure equals loyalty. In the case of your show, you reward loyalty. Absolutely. Max says, I can't tell you for sure if you have any of those tables at the show, but I'm pretty sure you don't. Might have some that are a little less willing to haggle. You can count me too. Zach says, I agree with rewarding loyalty. It just seemed that the opinion was someone's time setting up as a dealer was important than the product they brought to customers. Essentially, if you were loyal, you can't lose your spot, similar to unions or small business complaining about Walmart cutting them out of town or Amazon killing big box stores. Felt opposite or where the capitalism driven vibe. It's for me, for my opinion, it's give and take. I am going to absolutely reward loyalty 100%. But if there's a month or two where they're not going to set up, like, and who am I to judge? Like, how do you quantify it? Like, who is the judge of, well, that person doesn't have good stuff? And usually the complainers are people that either want to set up at a show or they have a buddy that wants to get in. And so there's some biases going on. You know, how would you, okay, we're not going to reward loyalty and tenure, and we're going to kick an old dealer out. Based on what? What are the credentials? Because it would piss me off as a dealer if I'm, and I know sometimes maybe they don't want to sell cards, but they enjoy hanging out with their buddy. And I don't want to reward that. But at the same time, I am running a business, and there may come a time where I need I need them to fill a table. But they may stick a middle finger in my face if I kick them out of a show and the market dries up and all of a sudden I'm struggling to fill tables. And where's all that tenure that I did not reward the loyalty? But they're still setting up at shows. Now they're at the small VFW show and they're like, oh, you want me back? Sorry. When times got tough, you booted my ass and now I'm booting your ass. Rich says wrestling is just fine. Alexa Bliss returned this weekend, so the world is good again. There you go, Uncle Rich. Max says, yeah, that was the point of the post we were talking about. Bo and I say reward loyalty, but coach them if they have stale inventory. The post basically said to wipe out the guys at the shows. Yeah. And it can be a slippery slope. And again, I ask, and it may have been answered because I'm still like 15 minutes behind. But then the question lies, my previous job at my company, at least in our office, and I think within the company, each office ran somewhat autonomously. Our bonuses, so my sales position was salary plus commission plus bonus. And we would receive a quarterly bonus. That was, what's the term? It was not merit-based, which sucked. Because how does any employee, whether they're in sales or they're on the operations side, what am I fighting for? And I understand on one hand, it shows that, okay, this person he's not just chasing the bonus. He's not just chasing a bonus. But everybody has a different personality and way they were. And sometimes if you dangle a carrot, you're going to run faster. And it's that reward at the end, that quarterly bonus. God, what's the damn term I'm thinking of? But there was no like numbers to chase. It wasn't like, okay, you did X in sales this quarter. If you grow 10%, your bonus is here. If you grow 25%, your bonus is here. If you grow 50% or more, you're going to get this amount, which I didn't like. And I would go into those quarterly bonus meetings, and it was like not really arbitration, but you go in and my boss would say, okay, so, do a little quarterly review. Here's what you did well. Here's what you can improve on. Here's your bonus. And it's like, well, this is less than last quarter's bonus, but my numbers were better. And then there was always, we had that claim, that $25,000 claim that really hurt the office. That comes out of our bonus pool. And so it's like, okay, drive, you work the next quarter. You're fighting for that good bonus again. You go back in and you get bumped up, but it's more than last quarter, but it's the same as 2 quarters ago. And it's like, hey, my sales improved 20%. And I brought in this many new clients. Why is we still that $25,000 claim 6 months ago, that really ate into a lot of our bonus. And, we had to spend X amount on this. And that's why I didn't like it. It's like, hey, you have your bonus, what you're fighting for. You've got to make X number in sales or because who is to judge if you've got shitty inventory and you shouldn't be set up at a show? Max says that have been there for 30 years and have vintage stuff out and replaced with the shiny new stuff. Need to respect people that built the show while the guys whining were running the sneaker industry. Max says Bo and I for tenure. Those tables, if any at shows, are a small portion of the floor. Yes, agreed. Especially at the National, just walk by. There's tons for everybody. Yeah, like there are a few tables up front that they have the same stuff year after year. And some of it's cool. And I stop and I'll look. There's a table, at least at the Chicago, when you walk into Chicago, to that main entrance, right to the right. It's the same stuff. And it's like, I'm interested. It's kind of high, but it's cool to look at. And it's the same stuff. And I'll probably this July, August at the National, I'll probably stop and spend 10, 15 minutes looking at those showcases, knowing I'm not going to buy anything. And it's probably going to be the same stuff I saw 2 years ago. Same price or higher. But there's still look how big the freaking National, like, come on, really? Rich says, cutting all sorts of government programs. Who knows if USPS is involved and what could possibly go wrong? Unicorn Cupcake got 2 Jack Johnson 1910 T218s for about $100 each. The guy shipped them raw in an envelope with a piece of paper with tape holding it closed. Very lucky nothing happened to them. No protection at all. Wow. Jeez is right. Net 54 will be 1 to 2 threads a day. Interesting for you. Low rollers holding Bitcoin. Johnny M says, stay tuned for Hobby Evolution 1778, where Bo talks about how great the eBay 3-pocket envelopes are working for him. Rich says, oh, those first 2 people when you come into the National are people I've known for 40 plus years. So while Max passes them by, I chat with them for quite a while. And I don't know if it's the same spot, but right as you walk in and to the right, and he's got some it's like a lot of old vintage oddball stuff. And some minor league, like super rare, I think it's Pacific Coast League cards. And there's a couple Cubs in that set that are way priced, because they're so rare, they're priced higher than what I am ever willing to pay. Nackley says, looking for the Hobby Evolution Facebook group, can't seem to find it. It is go into Facebook and type in Hobby Evolution, and it should pop up. Hobby. Of course, it'll pop up for me right away because it's a private group. Oh, you found it. And you are in. All right. So yeah, if you want to join the Facebook group, Hobby Evolution, just type in Hobby Evolution in the search bar. It's a private group, so we will get you approved. You are now in. Gem City says, how many days at the National is enough to enjoy the show? 8. This is a loaded question. For me, it's all of them. Because even by Sunday afternoon, in most cases, I'm like not ready to leave. And I'm there first thing Wednesday. What, Wednesday is the first day? I'm in line for doors opening on Wednesday, and I'm there until they kick us out. And usually I don't get there when doors open though on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I'm usually about an hour into it, but I'm typically there unless I have an event or something to go to. I'm there the entire time. I'm there all but like 4 hours of the show floor hours. But I would say at least 2 full days. At least 2 full days. And others may have their own. That would be my opinion. For somebody new, I mean, if you can only make it work one day, I would recommend doing either Thursday or Friday, full day, all day. If you can only do it one day, especially it's going to be even bigger this year. But I mean, it's got it. Like, I mean, if you really want to experience everything, you've got to go like every day to experience everything. But you can still have a good time doing it a day. But I would say at least 2 days, if not 3, 2.5 days, somewhere in there. Nackley says, never mind, found it. Damn autocorrect. Max says, I still look rich, but quickly, no desire to spend 6 to 7 figures on a piece of cardboard, but I still respect it. Or there are names on the wait list that have been setting up for months. Gem City says, dear Pokemon dealers, please reach out. We need a few. Quincy, Illinois. The Gem City Card Show needs you in Quincy. Pokemon. Max says, I would if I were closer. Yeah, that's probably at least 6 hours from Max. I think Quincy's about 4 for me. I think Quincy to Madison's about 4 hours, if not more. It might be 4.5 hours to Quincy. Dad Dude from Duryea, what's up? With my retail leases, it's called right of first refusal. It is your table until you don't want it or do not comply with agreement. There you go. Max says, gotta run. Funeral this morning. Ooh, sorry about that. Porter says, good morning. I'll have to catch up later. Late night shipping. Your boss is making excuses. Yep. Uncle Rich says, that's John Ramirez and B.A. Murray with the front 2 tables, and they do add new stuff, believe it or not. NYC Life in the house. What's up? Love the thumbnail. Love the dog. Morning. How has eBay sales been going for you the last week or two? A lot of people said things have slowed up a lot. I only got 1,000 listed, so selling 10 to 20 cards a day, which is normal for me. So right now, this is not a good time for me to say it's down or up because I'm not putting much into it. This weekend was a little down, but I also haven't listed new inventory because I'm leaving for spring training for a week. So I would say it's, but my sales on Tuesday and Wednesday were way higher than normal. So I'm below where I want to be, but it's not, my sales are not down. They're not up. They're par for the course. Low Roller says, I just joined your Hobby Evolution group. I don't think you did. Because I've got to approve it. And I don't see an approval waiting. Unless, oh, hey. Are you Charles Smith? I know Mark. Mark is in. Who's Charles Smith? Is Charles Smith Low Roller Scratcher? Where we at? Gem City says 4.5 to Matt. Yeah, 4.5 sounds right. Charles, I thought your name was Mike Smith. What is your real name? Yeah, I think it is 4.5 to 4.5 Quincy to Madison. So, and I think Max is about what? Are you 2 hours from Madison? So about 6.5 hours for Max. So, I want to go back to Charlie's comment that I started earlier. So I want to go back because this was a second point of risk management, and this is more of a case of risk management, maybe even more so when it comes to if you want new dealers to come in greater than your rate of attrition, expand the space. So easier said than, and this is a secondary post that inspired the topic today was, and I get this all the time. Madison, it's too small. You need a bigger space. You've got a long waiting list. You need a bigger space. That would be ideal. But is it realistic? No, it's not realistic, because then all of a sudden you can find a bigger space, but then you got to rent tables. And then I've got more work than what's cut out for me. And, if you have a waiting list of 150 dealers, are those 150 dealers, like Max said, maybe there's a couple that have fake names like Charles Smith on that waiting list. So maybe it's 100. Now, of those 100, how many are willing to do the show on a monthly basis? Well, it's sports season in the summer for kids. And now all of a sudden, so you rent that bigger space based on the current demand. Okay, I'm leaving this current venue and I found a new venue. Well, but I've got to spend X amount on table rental. And it's also a different venue. And when you change venues, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. There's a little risk involved. There may not be the amenities that you have if you're hosting at a hotel. And all of a sudden, that bigger show, you get all the dealers you want in, it brings the same amount of money in. You go from 140 table to 200 tables, it brings about the same amount of money into the show. And so that same amount of money is now being spent amongst 200 tables instead of 140. And then you double it and you do a one-day 400 table show. Guess what? You're probably going to get about the same amount of people and money in through the door. And now you're spreading out the same amount of money from 140 or a 200 table to a 400 table, and you're going to have a lot of unhappy dealers because they just didn't make the money that they wanted to or should have. So that's the risk involved in expanding spaces. I could go across the street. And guess what that means? It means customers are going to pay $8 to park at the Alliant Energy Center. It means customers that come in, there's no more free admission. You're going to pay $5 to get into the door. Dealers aren't going to be paying $60 a table anymore. They're going to be paying at least $100 a table. And what does it do? Brings the same amount of money in, or maybe even less, because a lot of the people that come in because it's free parking and free admission, they go from paying $0 to park and walk in the door to now paying $13 because they got $8 in parking and $5 admission. And vendors are now paying, instead of $60 a table, they're paying $100 a table at least. And they might be making the same money. So it's not that easy. And I use the reference, look at what the Green Bay Packers have going on and have had going on for decades. Their waiting list for season tickets is 150,000. Well, they need a bigger stadium. How come they don't build a bigger stadium? You just can't make these moves. You've got to have some sort of risk management involved. So if it's a newer show, absolutely. Absolutely. If it's an established show, would I like to move to a bigger venue? Absolutely. But I know what I'm losing if I did, and what the potential losses and what all of some of the how it could backfire. So Alex says, just bought a 200,000 card lot for $1,500. Definitely a lot of value in it. Just a tremendous amount of work. Yes, but fun. Absolutely fun. Rich says, I have a friend of mine who runs a monthly toy show. The location they use was just sold to a church, and they are now not sure if they can stay in the same location. That's a bummer. And that's, what if the Sheraton, where the Madison Card Show is, and these are all, you do your SWOT analysis. There are outside threats if you're running a card show. They may jack up the price of rent. Okay, well, you've had a successful show. Well, then you're all of a sudden, it's like, okay, it's not worth the work that I put into it. Or there's a water leak, something could happen to the venue itself. Maybe it's sold and they don't want to do trade shows anymore. Like, no, we're above that now. We don't want your money anymore. So there's outside threats that could absolutely affect the show. And then all of a sudden it's like, so I've always got to be looking just in case the rug is pulled out from under me. Sheena, what's going on? One of my longtime vendors. Had my best show ever. Last Madison Card Show money-wise. Yes! Love to hear it. And hopefully it's even better. March 29th, Madison Card Show. PSA in the house. PSA will be upstairs along the south wall, Capitol Square Ballroom. They will be accepting submissions for grading and authenticating. No on-site grading. But PSA will be in the house Saturday, March 29th, Madison Card Show. Rich says, and they have a 100-table show to move, which is not a small amount of tables to find a location, which makes sense. Yep. It's not easy. Once you get over 100 table, it's hard to find square footage that's feasible. We're at the Madison Card Show. We're at 140 tables. We expanded into that third room, but it was more work and about the same amount of profit for me. Okay, and we got about the same amount. Now it did alleviate. We were able to the traffic flow, but dealers like there's just not as many people here. Well, there's a third room. There's the same amount of people. I guarantee you. There's about the same amount of people, maybe even more than when there was two ballrooms. But when all of a sudden it looks great for optics, looks great for those photos, but it may not be great for those people trying to squeeze through the aisles. Rich says the hotel I used to use tried to jack up their price by doubling. That happens. They jacked my rates up 25% last year. And with that comes increased table fees. Kyle of Dallas Card Show came in and brought his contract to show how unreasonable they were on that. Love it. And then my raise was 10%, which was fine. And that's certainly feasible. Certainly feasible. And what they should have done in the first place. Absolutely. So those were some things on my mind based on a couple comments I read on Facebook over the weekend, and just wanted to get my thoughts out on that. Hit the like button if you haven't already. Subscribe to the channel. This is the last Hobby Evolution until next Thursday. I will be at spring training, Mesa, Arizona. I'll try to go live Wednesday or Thursday from my hotel room next Thursday, or this Wednesday or this Thursday. So tomorrow's travel day, game day against the Padres at Sloan Park. Probably do a rip night with Ethan on Wednesday night, my buddy Rich, and maybe and who knows who else will show up. We had Luis and Rosman Verdugo hang out with us last year, and some random in Cubs minor. Riley Martin stopped by for a little bit. A couple of years ago, we had Ryan Dempster stop by and chat for a little bit. So who knows who will stop in and rip some cards with us this week. So I'll aim for like a Wednesday or Thursday morning for Hobby Evolution from my hotel room. So have a great week. Have a great time. By the way, if you're in Arizona, hit me up. I'll be at Sloan Park the whole time. Stop by the Club 400 tailgate tent, Cubs cards for kids, some old style, and a good time. All right. So like and subscribe. Visit my eBay store, 99centcards.com. Buy 7 or more items at regular price. You'll save 25% off at checkout. Have a wonderful week, and I'll see you sometime from Mesa, Arizona.